Hi folks, in this video I want to talk about a new feature that we've introduced for both our HiBeam 200 load displays and our max out load limiters. There are many devices that will limit the load that a crane can lift. One of the problems with most of them is they don't tell you that they've done it. And so what you find is you go to a customer's site and, oh no, it just broke and they don't know what happened. No, we never overload our crane, and that sort of dynamic starts happening. What we've done with the firmware on the HiBeams and the max out is introduced overload logging, and it works like this. You connect to the device, now this might be a connection you make while you're commissioning it, but more likely it's a connection you make when you're coming back to fix a breakdown. Something's gone wrong. You connect to it, and you'll notice that there's a new tab on the screen here labelled logging. If I click on that, it tells me that there have been no overloads on this device at all. If I generate an overload, like that, straight away we can see here, turn it down again, that we have one overload at 29 tonnes. So if you come to site and it's a broken rope and there's been 15 overloads, A, you'll know, B, you'll be able to feed that back to your customer. And like I say, that's a feature of not just our displays but our most basic load limiter, the max out as well. You get that free. You can update the firmware on an existing HiBeam or an existing max out and you'll have this functionality. But there's another feature of it I'd like to show you. So you've got these things and they log overloads, and that's great. If you then walk onto site and plug in one of our Site Sentinel products, and we'll talk a bit more about this in another video. You just plug one of these things in and stick it anywhere in the shed. Anywhere within about 100 metres of the cranes that have either of these devices in it. Now, when we discover devices, we'll see an additional icon appear. There it is. Now we don't have to do anything to that, there's no configuration required. What the Site Sentinel is doing as we speak is connecting to all the devices it can find and extracting the information from them. So now when I go back into, let's go back into the display. On that same logging tab, I've got some extra options. I can now choose to send alerts to somebody, and that can be an email address, okay, or it can be a mobile phone number. If it's a mobile phone number, then that mobile phone number will receive an SMS with this information on it whenever an overload is generated. So I'll do that now. There's our overload. It's going to be 40 something tonnes on a 20 tonne crane. That's a reasonable overload. I'd want an SMS if somebody overloaded my crane that much. We can see here that the overload data is updated on the screen. And the next time this connects, and it'll be within about a 60-second period, then an SMS will be sent to that number. I reckon that's a pretty neat feature. I'd like you to go to your vendors of your existing overload protection products and ask them if it can send SMSs and emails. And if it can't, well, maybe you should try one of these. Cheers.